Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the Puck and Stuff podcast. I am your host, B-Dog. Beside me, as always, T-Dog.
Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Yes, thank the Lord.
Utah, holy moly. Poor Arizona fans. They did need Lindholm. I'm glad I'm not paying that contract.
This core hasn't worked. You haven't gone anywhere.
Oh, hi. How's it going? It's been a minute. How was your Christmas? It's past Christmas, about over a month now.
Oh my God.
I had to take the dust off the microphone there.
Is it 2025 yet?
You grew your hair out and in the beard.
I grew things out. Hey guys, welcome to 2025's first episode.
How's it going? Hi. Hey, how are you doing?
Oh God.
We got a lot to catch up on. I really, what this pod's going to be about is just talking a whole bunch of trades. Apparently, it's the trade deadline. I mean, I thought there was supposed to be some sort of, what is it called? The Four Nations face-off in Montreal and Boston in a couple of days.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess we're fast-tracking everything. Such is life, eh?
Yes, life.
A lot of trades. This has been a good season so far, though. I must say, I really enjoy it. There's a lot of parity, and no one expected the Capitals to be at the top of the league. Same with Winnipeg.
Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. No one really expected Washington. Everyone thought they were going to be mediocre, but it's been definitely an odd season this year. It's definitely been very odd coming from just a fan in general of the NHL and comparing to what we saw last season. It's been definitely odd. For sure.
I think for a couple of fan bases, it's a much more entertaining season than the season prior. I would say there's a couple of teams that maybe don't have as many expectations, and because of that, it's more enjoyable. I think teams like Columbus, right? Kind of rallying together and have they're in a wild card spot right now, which is amazing.
God.
And Ottawa's fighting in there too. There's a couple of teams that are taking step forward. I would say, Detroit too, right? With Tom McClellan behind the helm now. Then you have, but then you have teams like LA, and LA just has had a terrible month, and that's kind of slowed them down a bit. Where before they were competitive with Edmonton and those 2 or 3 slots in the Pacific. So it's been a whole merry-go-round of just craziness. But it's been a good season so far.
Yeah.
And I just think the trades make us so much crazier. I really think, with the promise from the league that the cap is going up significantly in the next 3 seasons is really starting to show, and I think that's why all these trades are happening.
Yeah.
Or for what they need to be. I think it's just kind of prepping themselves for, okay, well, do what you need to do now, but remember that when you got some more money in a couple of years, you can start splashing.
I mean, with the increase of cap in the next couple of years, a certain player definitely could be asking for the 14 mil per year that he wants. Well, that definitely could happen towards that certain player that did just recently get traded. So that should be possible for a few teams to pay him that. But you know what? Can we just break into the first trade?
Yeah, I have a feeling you're referring to. I mean, the player that we were all looking for he's some dude. He used to wear number 4 as well.
Yeah, some Finnish guy, I believe.
Taylor Hall. That's Taylor Hall. Who's this Necas dude?
Yeah,
I've never heard of him.
Never heard of him, man.
Oh, Rantanen? Oh, plug. Yeah. That was a trade. The full detail on that trade. So it was a 3-way. The first thing that happened was the Blackhawks acquired Mikko Rantanen, so put his jersey in the rafter, for Nils Ljungtorp. Then Chicago gives Carolina Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall. The Blackhawks receive a 25 third. And then,
if I'm correct, it was their own third.
The Avalanche acquired the Martin Necas and Jack Drury, that and then a 2025 second and a 2026 fourth for Ljungtorp. And so it just all mixes up. But the most important thing to know is Hall and Rantanen are now Hurricanes, and Jack Drury and Martin Necas are Avalanche. This one kind of shocked everyone. I mean, I just opened my phone and I see this trade. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's
That
exciting.
happened. That definitely happened. It was one of I haven't seen a blockbuster trade like that in a couple of years now. That's for sure in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
I think okay. First things first. There's just a lot to unravel because at the beginning of the season, this whole Rantanen extension talk was back and forth, and there were so many rumors going on top of it with Colorado. But then Colorado pops this trade out of nowhere, and they receive Necas and Jack Jury, and they send out Rantanen. And the first things that came out was everyone was shocked in Colorado. Even Rantanen sounded shocked that he got traded, and he sounded pretty upset and frustrated with the trade. And everyone was pretty upset. It was very shocking, but it didn't sound like there was any like extension talks weren't really going anywhere. And it sounded like he wanted to stay too, which was kind of the crazy part about the trade. But yeah, all of it's just kind of crazy. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I was trying to get into the mind of like Colorado. I think what this is you know how much you have to pay him. Like, you're gonna have to pay him more money just the way the cap is going than McKinnon.
Yeah.
And did you have the space for that and everything? And no, so I think they're just they're making they're tying up loose ends early. Not many teams I don't think would make that decision, right? I think taking a higher risk may reward in the long term. It's possible.
Yeah.
I think, of course, the Hurricanes win this because they get the best player. I think Taylor Hall, wanting to just kind of, now that he's more of an NHL journeyman, I think he's there to win a cup. So I think you're going to get a little more tenacity from him. But hey, Rantanen, right?
Yeah.
Multiple 100+ point scorer in the league. This season, so with Colorado, 64 points in 49 games, he has 2 points in 3 right now.
Pretty crazy
But
already.
I mean, it's going to take time for these teams to, get all connected and stuff. But I guess Necas, I kind of want to take a look at here and his points too. But looking at Necas, like Necas is actually right now the one who's actually thriving the most with the change. With Colorado, right, 5 points in 4 games. I think that helps being on the line close with McKinnon. But yeah, just a crazy trade, and I think Carolina, like I said, wins this trade. We'll see what happens with Colorado. Colorado, like your untouchables are for sure McKinnon, and Makar. But
Just in a sense too.
how do you regain the glory days? When you're strapped with cap, and you can tell this team because of injuries and trades and everything, like just slowly losing the depth that they used to have. The depth they had on that cup winning team was just immense.
Yeah. Well, because I made a trade recap about this trade, and kind of what I expressed on that was the reasoning I think for this trade was a few things. Was if the rumor was true that he wanted 14 more than McKinnon at 14, it made more sense to trade him and try getting assets in return. And Martin Necas was a good pickup, and Jack Drury, because that adds a top 6 winger to your lineup, and that adds the center depth, which a lot of teams, you look at some teams in the league like Toronto where they're trying to sign all these top stars and they're lacking in depth scoring. So maybe Colorado's trying to take a different look at it and get the young guy in Martin Necas who's only making 6.5 for the next 3 years instead of having to sign a guy for 14, and then your depth scoring lacks, right? So maybe Colorado's trying to take it at that aspect of let's, take the easy 6.5 player on our top 6 and then build on our depth, and that would make a lot more sense down the line. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess Carolina is the winner because you get Taylor Hall and you get Rantanen, and your top 6 becomes like one of the best in the league. I don't think they're going to sign him. I don't think that's possible unless something crazy happens, like another crazy trade happens in Carolina or some sense in the offseason. But I don't see them signing him after this season. In Colorado's sense, Martin Necas looks good in the first few games. So
Yeah.
I think the trade is working out so far in their section. But I think the winner here is Carolina. But I feel bad for Avs fans because that three-headed demon line was a juggernaut in the league for so many years and always talked about, and it helped them win a cup. And now he got sent off so quick, right? So
Yeah,
it was
it's gone.
unexpected. It was unexpected.
Like, talk about like a first team all-star like lineup.
Yeah, literally.
When everyone healthy and prime, like Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen with Devon Taves and McCarr and the back end.
Holy cow, that's
I
crazy.
think that's just such a crazy. Like, you'll look back at that and you'll be like, dude, that's how stacked that rock. Like, this is like comparable to. Oh heck! I mean, Danny
Marner,
McDavid.
Nylander, Matthews, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I can't even compare to it. Like,
No,
and
because their defense, the
guys,
defense doesn't even
McDavid never.
compare.
They don't play too much together unless it's necessity,
Yeah,
and the defense sucks there. Yeah,
yeah.
man. Okay, more traits to talk about.
All right.
I mean, Scott Prinovich to the Islanders. I mean, more depth for the Islanders. Okay, let's just kind of discuss this about Vancouver situation.
Oh boy.
I can't believe that was going on for this long, and it makes me think why, like, the Horvat trade really makes no sense to me now, because if Miller was the problem with Horvat, for say, like if there was still rift in the locker room, because apparently there was for some time ago, and apparently he did have some sort of reasoning for why Horvat left. Amongst the other reasons for who are they going to sign? They signed Miller over Horvat, but now, you look at like the return that you get for Miller. Not much, and the reason why you're not going to get much is you're kind of forcing on a quarter. So I can't get too mad at Vancouver for but they have to make that trade.
Yeah.
The fact that there's that much, drama, it's like high school. It's too much so of this drama just up in the media, and then Rutherford comes out and talks about how it's like affecting everything, and that it's to a point where if they need to sell it, and restart, that means Hughes is gone too. And then you put your best defenseman in franchise history, put his name out there in amongst the whole, your captain, by the way, amongst the whole drama. Just, I don't know what Rutherford was thinking on that, but I mean, hey, yeah, Vancouver media kind of likes to pump things up too. But
Yeah.
yeah, it needed to happen. So the Rangers acquired JT Miller, Eric Brandstrom, actually not bad for depth, Jackson Dorrington. So the Canucks receive Philip Hedl, Victor Mancini, and a conditional first. So I'll just want to keep going because there was a trade with Vancouver and Pittsburgh the same day where the Canucks acquired another Pettersson, Marcus Pettersson, and Drew O'Connor from the Penguins. So they gave him that conditional first. Danton Heinen, Vinny Desharnais, and Melvin Fernstrom. So you see a couple of prospects kind of moving in and out, but then you kind of see those key pieces in Miller being moved, Marcus Pettersson coming in to help the Canucks with the defense, and a Philip Hedl. And maybe I'll just kind of leave this to you, but I think Hedl can actually have a little bit of upside here. So I don't think it's a complete loss.
Not a complete loss. Not a complete loss. Hedl is only like 25 years old, so it could have been a little bit worse, but I don't know, because like let's be honest, this whole JT Miller started when the rumors came out that him and Pettersson were kind of having problems, and there was tensions in the locker room all season long, which was kind of shocking based off the playoff run from last year. Like, I feel like we would have heard this more from last season if it was that much of an issue, but a lot of talk of it came from this year, and I would have thought JT Miller got traded sooner because of this rumor, but no, he finally got traded. He goes back to New York Rangers, funny enough, and they do send back some pieces. Is it kind of a downgrade? Yeah, it is a downgrade because JT Miller is a 60 to 70 point player, and he played. Vancouver loved JT Miller too. They would chant his name in the arena, and they loved him for it.
Yeah.
And it was going to hurt to trade him, but they're like, okay, do we trade our franchise guy, or we just trade JT Miller? We trade JT Miller any day, right? So for the Rangers, this is really good because they've even had their struggles, and adding a top 6 guy is really needed. Replacing him with a younger guy too would be really good. Yeah, Vancouver's kind of on the downside of this, even with how much they still got out of the first and Phillips. It's kind of rough for Vancouver right now, but I think the switching of the pick for Marcus Pettersson, holy crap, they have 3 Petterssons on their team.
I love it.
That's
It's
crazy.
Pokemon. I love it.
It's an evolution of Pokemon. No, that's pretty good. I mean, their 3 defensemen look really good with Philip Roenick, Marcus Pettersson, and Quinn Hughes right now. So they're looking pretty good defensive wise. Just
Yeah, Susie. I think Myers actually has upside, although we all make fun of him.
yeah,
But Derek Forbort, I think, is a solid 6'7" guy, and you can swap him in with that other Pettersson, right? So I think there is some benefit there. I am of the thought that I don't think Vancouver's is completely messed. I actually think they could salvage their way out of it.
yeah.
And why I say that is because, well, one, I think Pettersson really needs to step his game up. He has been proven to play better when Miller's not in the lineup, so maybe we'll see about that. But Pettersson's supposed to be your forward star, and he really hasn't shown it recently. You're probably losing Besser come either deadline or after the season.
Oh yeah, no way.
I think you play around with, trying to, get some play pieces in. I think you can salvage that. I think, maybe one more guy on the D, I think wouldn't be terrible. I think you got to kind of let Demko rest and have him play well. Likenen's good too, though. So at least you have that as a decent backup. Like, the dude is actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
So I think Vancouver's not completely messed, but this was a necessity. This had to happen, and now it finally did. And, I mean, hey, Miller scored already. I mean, the Rangers lost 6-3 to the Bruins, so that's kind of fun.
That's fun.
So, on New York side, they get their a scorer, what they need. And New York's just in a very odd situation. It's just been so up and down this season. I don't know what to place him. Although the kid line being completely gone now is something. Hey, no more Kako, no more Hedel. It's just Lafreniere saying so.
Oh yeah, but he's going to be like an 80 to 90 point player for the rest of his career. Yeah. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So that was the player they wanted to make sure hit because they drafted him first overall. So
of course,
there's no way that they can't let that mess up. Out of all 3 of them, they can't let that one get screwed up. So, but I don't know. Looking at Vancouver's lineup right now, it doesn't look spectacular. Like, especially when you're mentioning like coming up next season too, when you're really thinking of it too, because you're right, Brock Besser only has 1 more year left on his contract, and I highly doubt he's planning on staying another year in Vancouver. So there's a good chance that he's gone. And then looking at the top 6, it just doesn't look as strong as it used to. And it's kind of like weird because we looked at this Vancouver team as one of the top teams in the league last year, right? So seeing this now, it's kind of concerning. And this is coming from the guy who predicted them to go first in the Pacific. So, and they're struggling for a wild card with Calgary. What the hell does that say about your team?
And that's something, because I look at that roster on paper. I think Canucks should be guaranteed that second wild card, comparable to Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from a Flames fan, right? So that's just an honest opinion. But hey, when you have a bunch of factors, injuries to your goalie, the drama, forced trades, players not playing to the contract, blah 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 blah. Poor Vancouver's cursed.
Yeah,
I saw this comment on a video, and they were like, Vancouver's the Buffalo Sabres of the NHL. And I thought that was so funny. I don't know why. I'm laughing like a schoolgirl at that one still. But, I was like, what? What does that mean? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because...
okay. Shoot.
Well, no, because if you look at the lineup right now, your first line is Jake DeBrusk, Elias Pettersson, and Brock Besser. What is that? Next year, I mean, it's not bad, but compared to how it was last year, it's kind of weak. It's starting to get weak, and knowing next season that Brock Besser isn't coming back, what does that leave you with? Connor Garland and Jake DeBrusk and Elias Pettersson? Like, it's going to look ugly next year, man. Also, where do you think Brock Besser would go next year? That's just a conversation on its own. It would be good for.
I think emotionally, people want him to go to Minnesota because, if I'm correct, he's from the state, which would be kind of cool, actually. Man, does Kaprizov need someone to play with? But
Matt Boldy hasn't looked
he's
bad with
Boldy.
Minnesota.
Yeah, but he's more than Boldy, okay? Like, he needs a couple more players.
Oh, okay. I
Maybe
kind
I'm
of see
just a
what you mean.
hater to Minnesota. Maybe I'm just a
Actually, you know what?
Minnesota.
I can 100%. I can see Brock Besser going to Minnesota more and more now. Like looking at their top six, Matt Boldy, Joel Eckerson, Zuccarello's still there, but he's aging. Ryan Hartman,
Well, I guess that's what I'm
Marco
referring to, right? Eck and Zuccarello
Polino.
or
Yeah.
Marcus
Okay,
Polino
I see what you
still.
mean. Actually,
Yeah,
yeah, I kind
okay,
of like that. I kind
fair
of like
enough. I mean,
Minnesota.
Kaprizov is IR'd, but like they have some pieces. But I look at a Rossi. He shouldn't be a second line center, but I know that he's actually improving himself, so that's a possibility. I just think they have pieces that as the young guys like Yakov Trenin and a couple of them, right? Like they can up their way up as the years go on. But who do
Yeah.
you replace, right? When Zuccarello and Foligno get too old. That's kind of my point.
Yeah, I kind of
I
like
don't know.
that actually.
Besser could work. I think Besser could work, but yeah, I shouldn't
Or
say anything bad about Boldy. That's a decent first line still, even without Kaprizov. I think Boldiak and Zuccarello, but
actually, you know
um,
what? Another team that you could probably throw in that mix is Utah. I could really see Utah.
yeah, yeah.
Looking at their top six
Oh
right
my
now,
goodness,
I could
yeah.
see it. I could see it. I could see him going to Utah. That would actually be really good
Second
if they
line,
pay him that much.
I think his second line with Chel and Hayton.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would
that'd be
actually
kind
look
of
really good.
sweet. That'd be sweet. I'm a bit of a secret fan of Utah. I mean, I love the youth players that they have. I think Keller is such a great player. Like Schmaltz is underrated. I think players like Schmaltz and Bukestad. It's like you're going on a cup run. I would get him.
Yeah,
Like so I that's what I think. A bunch of young guys like Carconi and McBain and Hayton and Michelli and yeah, it's just so I like the way they're going. But I think a Besser could help. I think
definitely.
ultimately Vancouver's in a situation of like there's going to be a couple of there's a fork in the road, and which way do you take? I don't know. I think you just need to keep Quinn Hughes happy because the dude is legit the best defenseman in the franchise.
Yeah,
I don't know why you would try and force him out. Like it's just yeah, you
that's
got to be
dumb.
smarter.
You can't lose the second best defenseman in the league. You can't. Like, your reasoning for it would be absolute brutal. Or he's going to New Jersey to go play with his brothers.
I
So,
know.
actually, with Brock Besser's contract ending this year, do you think Vancouver plays it out for the rest of the season? Or do you think they try pulling a trade with him before trade deadline?
Maybe deadline. I have a feeling that Rutherford's going to take the stance of he's going to make some moves. He kind of is known to do that.
I
Sometimes
mean,
it works really well. Sometimes
when
it's like, ooh. But I mean, hey, I mean, there's. Well, I feel like he made a couple of decent with Pittsburgh that helped him on the cup runs.
yeah, well, especially
So
when your team's struggling to even make a second wild card spot, might as well make up
yeah,
some changes to the lineup.
I
Like,
mean, and to think because we were praising Rick Tocchet last season,
true.
he doesn't have the room anymore.
No.
So what's going on? So I mean, now that Miller's gone, you just think, okay, it'll probably end, but you don't know.
Oh my
There could
god.
be more.
With JT Miller gone, imagine if there's still problems in the room. Do you start looking at Elias
Oh, you
Pettersson
have to
now?
clean house. You have to clean house. There's
Yeah.
no way you can't, because like if there's more problems in the whatever, like then it's your leadership from
Is
the
that
top up, like from the team. Probably, I bet you management doesn't help either. And
no?
then I mean,
No.
everyone knows the ownership of Vancouver is trash. So it's like
Gotta let the
what
boys
happens with
club.
Vancouver. But hey, I mean, all the Canadian teams have the same darn problem. It's we want to make playoffs. We want to make playoffs. You shouldn't like. I don't know. I just want to tank for McKenna. Like, can you imagine how good your team would be if you actually like got yourself a superstar?
Yeah. Well,
And you could sell more merch. You'd have free marketing with that player too. You'd actually make more money if you just tried to go for first overall.
no, I think,
Like,
well, actually true. And in Calgary's sense, yes, this makes sense to me. But, like, if you're talking as a Vancouver guy, this what frustrates Canadian teams is when your team is supposed to be good and they're not playing up to that
yeah,
level. And Calgary dealt with that for a couple years with Kachuk and Gaudreau here because this team looks so good on paper, but could never make that expectation of making a second round or whatever round. Hell, even making playoffs was such a struggle. We dealt with it for so long, and I think Vancouver now is going to go into that place of like, we have the all-stars, we have the superstars that we need. It's just we have expectation. We can't make it though, and it's frustrating for Canadian fans.
No, most definitely. I mean, the Leafs even have that problem. Like they make the playoffs, but of course it's out of the performance goes,
entirely.
Right? Like, when you have your players that just don't show up, like there are notable players on certain teams. When it's playoff time, it's like a Verhaeghe, like in Florida, Carter Verhaeghe. The dude is an absolute like he's a dragon slayer.
Yeah,
like those players aren't around some of these Canadian teams, so I don't know. I mean,
yeah, those are like weird role players that are like they're almost superstars, but you could technically call them role players in a sense.
Listen, this Miller and Pedersen debacle, I might have to like leave room in my calendar so I can watch Sweden and America come Four Nations.
Ooh.
Right? But okay, here's my actual question. I was trying to transition to that. Like, do you have much like excitement for the Four Nations?
I mean, it's not like Olympics by any means. It's like how it's kind of like how I had it for the World Cup of hockey in 2016, where it's like, okay, this is cool. I mean, we don't have to deal with the All-Star game. It's kind of a nice replacement.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It gives kind of players a reason to actually try because like All-Star game is kind of like a nice vacation for it in a sense, but like you're representing your country. I think it gives a little bit more meaning to it. And I think that will make this a little bit more fun, seeing how the players are going to actually like compete and actually try in this. And if it works really well, I'm okay with replacing it for the All-Star game.
I mean, if they did it every year, that'd be cool. What I think is like I can't wait to see it because I do want to see like McDavid and McKinnon on the same line and all of that. But there wasn't much advertising, which I didn't understand, and you know what? The whole only 4 teams is a little underwhelming.
Yeah. If they do this again, you need to bring Russia in. I don't think people realize how good Russia's team could have been this year. Oh my god!
I have to check that article again that I saw, but yeah, I saw the lineup. I'm like, oh, buddy! I'm like,
god! Like, dude, they could have maybe won it if they actually were allowed to play.
But that, and then I mean, even if you don't have too many, like Draisaitl deserves to be in this, right? So put a team in
players, man. He's like one of the few German players that actually came out of the league.
Yeah, so I think like that's kind of underwhelming. Is just 2 little teams,
yeah.
And this whole scenario, it's like a bunch of preliminary games, and then boom, it's just the finals. So it's kind of like odd like that.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem to. I think I'll watch like the first couple of games and see how the players play. If the players are playing like it means something, then it'll all be locked in. But if the players are just taking it as like a chill vacation, I'm not going to. I mean, it's no Olympics. I don't know. I'm sure in the background they're probably trying to entice him to be a little more competitive. I'm sure there's influence in a positive way for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just excited to see certain players play with each other. But I don't know. It's creeping up, and I'm just kind of like, oh, cool. I'm not like, whoa. Like, I remember when there was Olympic hockey. I was hyped.
Oh yes,
hyped. But I don't feel that.
Now you see Olympic hockey nowadays, and it's just like we all know it's just not the same.
It is cool seeing other people get a chance to represent the nation. I think that's awesome. But it is the best players. I think it makes sense to.
Yeah, it should be the best players in the world representing their countries. God damn.
How big of a mistake is it to leave out Logan Thompson?
Oh my god, we could go on about this, dude. He is literally one of the best goalies in the league right now.
Record 23-2-3. Like it's. I didn't realize that. I was wondering why Charlie Lindgren wasn't playing. It's like because Logan Thompson is like Brodeur all of a sudden. Yeah, it's crazy.
He's become the next Braden Holtby of frickin' Washington, and it hurts my head.
Oh, legit. Man, I can't even complain. It's kind of cool seeing the Cavs have this success with an older Ovi chasing that Gretzky goal.
He's 19 goals a frickin' way, dude. He might
So
break it
close.
this season.
It's so
He
close.
legit can do it this season.
Does he do it? Man, I hope he does. I don't know if he will. I have a feeling he's going to slow down after the break.
Maybe.
But
Or
I think it's going to happen next season. I think it's going to happen probably December of next season or November.
Well, to be honest, let's look at what Ovi kind of has happened to Ovi this season. He did break his leg.
And I did have
he recovered quicker than usually most people do when you break your leg.
Yeah.
And he kind of went off after that. So if you give a guy a week or two recovery, you think he's gonna slow down?
Oh, good point. So maybe not.
He might just try to break it this year, so next year he could just try getting to
retire. Will probably retire if he made it this season. I'm not even joking.
I know. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It depends what he does too, because if the team goes deep and doesn't win it this year, and most of the team comes back next year, he might be convinced enough to be like, okay, this team wants to still be competitive. Let's try it, right? So, that's what I think. He's the kind of player. If the team was really going downhill, then I would be like, okay, he's going to retire. But this is a really competitive Caps team. It's kind of hard to say that he would retire as they're being competitive.
What's one thing intriguing though is, so in the last 5 games, they're playing the Jets tonight, so that doesn't count. Last game right now recorded would be the Washington Oilers game on Tuesday. But he scored against Seattle. So he was a +1 in Seattle, but he was never a minus. He was a 0 or a +1. So when he's on the ice, they're not letting in goals.
Yeah.
That's something.
And plus it's probably why Washington's being as competitive as they are this season, because look who your captain is. He's about to break the record for goals in the NHL. If that doesn't give you some motivation to go out there and play good hockey, I don't know what else really is. There's only one other captain I can think that could do that for you, and it's Crosby.
Mm-hmm. Him being captain was such a good decision. Oh, that made me happy.
That made me so happy.
Yeah, I got man. As I get older, I got such respect for him.
Yeah, I mean, it started off with this.
Yeah.
So,
before I remember, the first Stanley Cups final I remember watching was the 08. So that's when they lost to Detroit. But then I remember 09. So yeah, that's how it goes.
Oh, I meant just for Team Canada, but I know what you meant. I know what you meant.
Yeah,
I know where you're going with. Yeah, but honestly, congrats for Crosby being captain again of a Team Canada team. You can't name anyone else. I would have been mad if they did try, but no, it's Crosby. It's always been Crosby. It'll always be Crosby. He's our good old one.
And then Matthews captain for the States. Hedman for Sweden. It was Sasha Barkov for the Finnish.
That makes sense.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, okay. If we really were going to look at the U.S., which I think most people are kind of iffy on the captain, who would you name captain other than Matthews in U.S.? Is there really anyone else that you can think of? Because they've got Kachuk and someone else as the assistants.
I mean, you could debate on Matthew for that.
That was my thing, because Jack Eichel, actually Eichel's not a terrible name to throw out there. You could have technically put Quinn Hughes, Dylan Larkin.
Yeah.
There was a few names there. I mean, you could technically say Brady Kachuk, but I think I would prefer Matthews, but I don't know. That's an interesting one.
Couple of changes. Hey, so Yanni Hakanpää's not playing for Finland anymore.
No?
No, it rolled
Oh,
out 3 hours ago.
I also heard that
Petrangelo.
Alex Petrangelo wasn't playing for Team Canada.
Yeah,
And it
and so that
sounded
was
like
where
Uyghur. It sounded like
I hope.
Uyghur was willing to cancel his trip to be on the team.
Yeah, I hope Uyghur does that. But that's why I'm like, what are these players gonna take this as? Because you can tell that there's players who want to play for their nation, but at the same time, and I don't blame like no, the Petrangelo wants to like rest up for a cup run. I don't blame him. Don't get
Yeah.
in. He doesn't want to get injured.
No.
So that's why I'm wondering like how competitive will this be? So I'm hoping it's going to be good, but we'll have to figure that out. Yeah, no, thanks for watching, listening, however you're consuming this podcast, and like it, thumbs up, comment down below. Who won these trades? What was kind of the most intriguing trade in your mind? And do you think the Flames make the playoffs? We'll figure that out. But hey, guys, see you around in the next one. Stay warm, and hey, let's see how good the Four Nations face-off is. Talk to you soon.
Be mid. Let's be honest, it might be mid.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right. Well,
see you in the next
good luck,
one.
Vancouver.
Good luck, Vancouver. See you in the next one. Peace.
Bye.